Hi friends, it's Susan Smith with StampCreatively, and my upline does a try it class every year where you try the new product, or not every year, she does it every time there's a new catalog. She does a great job with it. So this is one of the cards we did this time, and I loved the fold. I have camp coming up next week, so I was determined to use Spring Corners, which is an online exclusive, and I wanted to do that fold. So here's my version of her fold using the Spring Corners. So let me show you how I did that. Look how pretty this is. It's textured with the embossing folder. I think that's sometimes this stuff's so hard to see online, but let me show you how I did this. Okay. So I cut a piece of lemon lolly, 5.5 by 11. And then I'm going to score it. And I'm going to score it at 4.25. So that's the first score at 4.25. And I'm going to go ahead and fold it. So, and then I just won't stick my arm out. Then this one is at 3.75. So I'm going to put that fold at 3.75, then open up my card and score it again. Okay, so now I have this fold. Okay. Then I want this piece to be a 3-inch square. So I'm going to go in 3 inches. And I am going to, I can see my fold right there. You might not be able to see it as well as I can, but I can see it. So I'm going to put this down because I'm at 3 inches, and I'm going to go to the edge. Okay. I'm sorry if you can hear my phone ringing. It says potential spam. So I'm not answering that one. Then I'm going to come down this way and meet that. Okay, so this is the piece that I'm cutting out. Now I have this fold. Magic. Okay, now I want to go from here to here because I want that angle. So I'm going to lay it back on here, and I'm going to line it up with the groove that's in that, my cutter. So I'm going to line it up with the groove. I answer 98% of my phone calls because I have a mama in memory care, but not when it says potential spam. So now I went from that corner up there. And now I have this. Okay. So this is the only piece that's going to be wasted. This is what I'm going to use to go over the top. Okay. So I'm going to trim this down a little bit. So I'm going to cut 1/4 inch off of that. And now I've got this piece that's going to go right there. Okay. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to die cut it and run it through the embossing folder. Okay, so I ran it through the exposed brick embossing folder after I die cut it. And this die cut is part of the Spring Corners dies. It's got some really cute little edges and flowers and balloons. Here's the stamp set again. It's an online exclusive. I've labeled my stuff because I can't find it sometimes. Okay, so I've die cut it, and it's a 2 3/4 inch square. just in case you're wondering. Move this out of the way. And I'm going to go through and just kind of make sure these are going to go a little bit flatter, even though I scored them. And sometimes I'll even go back a couple of times. Okay, so I have this piece. This is a 2.5 by 2.5 piece of watercolor paper. And I'm going to put it behind here. I'm going to see if I can zoom in. Oh, look at me. Boom, baby. Okay, so I've zoomed in on this piece. Now what I'm going to do is I've taken 3 of my watercolor pencils. I've taken the Pumpkin Pie, I've taken the Daffodil Delight, and the Greeny Apple Green. And I am going to lightly go in here and kind of mark where these images are. I'm doing it pretty lightly, so I don't have to worry about trying to wash out any lines. Then I've got my Greeny Apple. And I sharpen my pencils so that I wouldn't like drag it along the edges. And then here's my Pumpkin Pie. Okay, so now I'm going to lift this off. This is my don't drink water bottle. So nobody drinks it, plus the water looks disgusting. Now I'm going to take my Wink of Stella. This is an empty one. So once I've used them all, I use them to watercolor with. I'm trying to get it so it's not so washed out, so you can kind of see it. Maybe that's helpful. I mean, you never know, and it could change at a moment's notice. So I'm going to dip this in here, and this corner up here is going to be where I make sure I wipe my color off. So I'm going to go over this area where I know those petals are. If I wanted a little darker, I can pull the color off the end of this and make it a little darker. So I'm going to do my petals first. And then I'll make sure that that yellow's off of there, the daffodil. I'm going to do the centers. And again, same way that I did with the other, I can go over if I want to darken it and put a little bit darker on there. Okay, now I'm going to do the leaves. I'm going to clear this off. And do the leaves. I'm going to spread this all out. I love watercoloring. It just gives, it's just so pretty and subtle. Okay, so I've colored the leaves. I've got a wash on it, which is the way I want to start. So you can kind of see it's just a wash. Now I'm going to lay this piece over the top. How pretty that is. So that's going to fill in all of my little spaces. Okay, so it's still a little wet. I'm going to heat it up real quick here. Just kind of dry it off a little bit. Yep. I pulled a bunch of stuff off when I pulled the cord. That's okay. Everything's fine. Nothing's broken. So I used my Wink of Stella so you can see just a little bit of shimmer on that. Can you see that? Now I'm going to put some seal around the edges. And I'm going to seal this down right on top of there. Now, if I want to, I can go back in and pull a little bit of the pumpkin off of the pencil and darken some of that. It's pretty the way it is, but again, you can do this if you want. Same way with the greeny apple. I mean, to me, watercoloring is just such a no-fail thing. Like, I can make it a little darker. I can play with the color. It just, there's so many different things you can do with it. Same way with the petals. You can make these a little darker. After I kind of got going, I thought, oh, I could have done these like a sunflower or like a black-eyed Susan and done brown with the petals. And then I was like, oh, I could have. Oh, I could have. There are so many different things you can do with this. So many different colors. But I wanted to use this DSP. That's this pretty Floral Delight designer series paper from the mini. So I wanted to put some of this, so that's why I came up with those colors. Because I wanted to add a little bit of that DSP. So there's this piece. Now I wanted a little bit of daffodil behind it. So sometimes I pre-cut these, sometimes I lay them on and just measure them the way I want it. So I'm just going to lay this on here and then I'll tell you what the measurement is when I cut it. Oh, if it was for a class, I'd have it all pre-cut, but it is not 2 3/4. It's just past that because the piece in the middle is 2 3/4. So it's 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/8. Look at me, boom. 2 and 7/8. Well, Susan Lynn. I obviously moved it after I said that and didn't look. All right. It's a little bit bigger than what I want. There's my 2 and 7/8. Okay. Then this gets attached right back here. Okay. I got a chewy edge. I think I need to replace the blades. I just had a customer order new blades and I was like, oh yeah. It's Celebration. That's the perfect time to order a new blade. All right, so now I'm going to seal this down. I think I need to do that. Come on, friend. It's a new seal, so I know I have plenty in there. So I'm going to put this down on front. So cute. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so you can see me stamp. I'm using Early Espresso to do my corner. And what I've found is I'm using the big block to do this, So when I push on the block, I need to make sure I push on the corner of the block and just not right in the middle, because I wasn't getting the full image. And then make sure you're careful that you're just pushing on this corner and that there's no ink on this side, that you rock it and you get a little bit of ink, because that's annoying. Wishing you an amazing day. I have a girlfriend, we're celebrating her birthday tomorrow. This is going to be her birthday card. And these are the cute little daisies that are in the stamp set. I went ahead and put a little pumpkin pie right on the tip of those. And a little granny apple on the leaves. I didn't really bother with the petals. And if I do too much of this, it's going to bleed. So be careful. I just moved it a little bit. So cute. And then here's where I wanted to add the DSP. And I just cut a 2-inch strip to go right here. And I'm going to seal it down and then trim off the edge. That worked better for me than the whole piece. I decided I just didn't want to do the whole piece. It's your card. You can do whatever you want. So I'm going to lay this. This is that pretty designer series paper I told you about. I want it right at the edge. And then I'm just going to turn it over and trim it off. And then in this suite in the catalog is a different stamp set. It has the designer series paper, and it has the ribbon and the bees. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit more. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to add the ribbon and the bees. I'm going to seal this down. I've got this adorable little bee. These bees are so cute. I'm going to stick it on with the glue dot. My bee. And then I wanted the ribbon to come up here so I could make a bow. And I just took my old-fashioned punch, the good old friend that we've had forever, and I just punched a little hole. I was going to be clever and use a die, and I tried to get my heart punches to work, the ones that we have, like the bee one that has the heart. I just couldn't get it, so I just used the old punch. And then this is it's called, I think it's 1/8 inch, just says Daffodil Delight satin ribbon. Oh, I don't know if I told you, I used early espresso ink. Come on. I always tie my ribbon on the bolt. I know not everybody likes to do that, but that's what I do. I tie it on the bolt. And then there's no waste. So here's an early espresso watercolor pencil. So if I wanted to pull some early espresso over here to the side, I could take my pretty Wink of Stella, and I could do this a couple of different ways with some early espresso. I could get this wet and make sure it's good and wet, and then tap it on here so I get a little early espresso splatter. So again, I'm taking the tip, I'm putting it on here, and I'm making sure my Wink of Stella is really wet. And then see, I've added a little bit of splatter to that. Can you see that? It's so subtle, but it looks beautiful. All right, friends. Thanks for joining me. I used the spring corners. And then the suite from the mini is this one. I about sent my paper cutter flying, which, I mean, I'm just clumsy. That's why I close my ink and I do all that stuff. And because I caught my paper trimmer, I lost the page. So this is part of that suite. So I used the Designer Series paper. It's got some beautiful vellum. And then this is the ribbon and the bees. All right, thanks for joining me. You can find me at StampCreatively.com. Again, my name's Susan Smith. Have a great day. We'll stamp together again soon. Bye.